Hello, this is Sandy with a little bit of glitter, and today I have two cards actually made with the same thing, but they look very different. They're both made with the new Stitched Garden Veggies die set, and it's just amazing how just by changing backgrounds and adding on the little smiles to the little vegetables, how you get completely two different cards. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to be notified of future videos. You can follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdill or on my blog, A Little Bit of Glitter. Both of these cards are going to be interactive, so I'm using the Magic Iris die set along with the Magic Iris Sunflower add-on. I'm going to start with two of the sunflowers cut out. I've got one cut out with sunflower cardstock and the other one is cut out with sticky note cardstock. I'm going to touch up those edges on the inside and on the outside with Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink. The sticky note cardstock is going to be used on the card that doesn't have the vegetables or the little veggies with the faces, and the sunflower cardstock is going to be used on the card that has the little veggies with the faces. I like to apply Distress Oxide to the edges of most of my die cuts. So on this particular one, for the little cauliflower, I've cut it out of speckled eggshell, and I'm going to apply antique linen to the outside edges of each one of those cauliflower pieces. Since I'm doing two cards, I'm also doing two of the little cauliflower pieces. For the head of lettuce, I've used the new algae cardstock along with some noble fir. I'm going to use Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide to just touch up those little edges. The green part of the cauliflower is noble fir, and then the bell pepper is also noble fir. And again, I'm touching up all of those edges with the Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide, and I'm just using a little brush just to hit those edges. My bigger blending brushes are just too big. They tend to cover up the whole thing. My tomatoes are cut from Barn Red cardstock and touched up with a little bit of aged mahogany Distress Oxide on the edges. For the card that's going to have the vegetables without faces, I am using a gingham from the fruit salad paper collection. I'm going to hit those edges with a little bit of walnut stain Distress Oxide. I'm actually not even putting my brush on my ink pad. I have enough ink in that brush to just go ahead and hit the sides of that paper, and that's just subtle enough to give it just a little bit of color. Using the center of the little donut pieces that are cut out from the Magic Iris set, I'm going to heat emboss the sentiment in the center of each one of those. For the card that has the plain vegetables, I am using chocolate bar cardstock, and for the card that will have the little smiling veggies, I am using ground espresso cardstock. I'll go ahead and use my Misty to line up my sentiment. The sentiment is coming from the Veggie Happy stamp collection. I have had to cut some of those little sentiment pieces in half in order to make them fit on to that circle. I do that quite often. It's really not a problem to do that because you can always line them up easily again if you need to use the full sentiment with the original length. I'll go ahead and just heat emboss those using white heating embossing powder. Okay, now it's time to put our Magic Iris together. I've got 3 of the donut pieces cut out, 3 of the little sausage pieces cut out, and 3 of the little connector pieces cut out, and then the little handle that moves the mechanism up and down. I'm going to put the what Kelly calls the flex capacitor on one of those little donuts. That's what cuts out the little slots to put your little sausage pieces in. And then it also gives you a little perforated line so that you know where to line up your little stabilizer pieces. So I've got that cut out. I'm going to place in my little sausage pieces in those 3 little openings. Once I get those all inserted, I want to push those towards the outside so that I've got a nice clean circle in the center. And then I will take some mini glue dots and apply those to the little X's that are created when you cut out those sausage pieces. I don't know that you can see them very well on the video, but there's 3 of them. And I just used my X-Acto knife to place them on those little X's. Now that I have my glue dots placed, I'm going to take the second of those little donut pieces and place that directly on top of the first donut piece with the little sausage pieces, making sure that everything is still lined up to the outside and I have a nice clean circle in the center. I'm going to flip that over now, and I'm going to take my tape runner, and I'm going to run a line of tape across that little donut piece where those little marks are that the flex capacitor made so that I can place my little stabilizer pieces down. I'm going to line up the top edge of those stabilizer pieces with the inside edge of that circle and press those down really well. Now that I have my 3 stabilizer pieces on the back of that, I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue on that handle piece, and I'm going to glue it right next to my little bottom stabilizer piece, kind of at a 45-degree angle to that one. And I'm just lining that up again to the inside of that circle. I'll give it a good push down and let it dry. I'm making sure it's not gluing or adhering to anything else on that mechanism. Now I'm going to lay that third donut piece on top of the other two, and I'm going to fold my stabilizer pieces over on top. I'm going to put a little bit of glue tape on each one of those stabilizer pieces and fold them over. But I'm going to be careful not to fold them over too tight to that edge. I want to be able to move. I want all of those pieces to move. So if you do it too tight, nothing is going to spin around. So I'm just going to gently fold those over. I'm not trying to get them to line up to that inner edge. I'm just making sure that they're gently folded over. Now that I have all my stabilizers glued in place, I just want to make sure that my little iris is going to open and close smoothly. I've cut a piece of sunflower cardstock to 4 inches by 5 1/4. I wanted a nice little edge around my gingham paper. I'm going to kind of line that up so I have maybe it might be 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and line up my sentiment in the center of that and then glue it down. That is going to help me place my magic iris mechanism so that it's nice and centered on that card. I will also glue down that sunflower that I cut out using the Magic Iris Sunflower add-on. That's the one that I cut out of the sunflower cardstock. I use the Magic Iris add-on to cut out the little gingham papers. It also comes with a little piece that helps the recipient know what to do with that iris. So I've cut that little handle decoration out of some sunflower cardstock, and I've touched it up with some Wild Honey Distress Oxide. I'll go ahead and glue that on the handle and then just trim that little piece that extends over to the side. Once I do that, you'll see that it lines up really nicely with the rectangle of that add-on. I'm going to use my tape runner to apply glue to that top donut of the Magic Iris. Once I have that all glued up, I'm going to line that up on the Magic Iris add-on so that that little tab fits into that little notched area on the add-on and completes that rectangle. Now I'm going to apply foam tape to the top, bottom, and the sides of the top of that card, making sure that nothing is going to hinder the movement of that little handle. You need to have the height that the foam tape creates so that that mechanism moves and your recipient actually has a place to grab. I'm going to peel off the protective tapes, and with that iris in the open position, I'm going to center it on my piece of cardstock. I also want to make sure that everything is moving smoothly. I cut the Hello Scripty die out of paper bag cardstock and then went back in with my white gel pen and just added some stitch lines. I just felt it needed a little bit of something extra, and I just didn't want to do a shadow of another color, so I thought that kind of just tied in that farm fresh look that I was kind of going for. I will use liquid glue to adhere that at an angle on the upper left-hand corner of the card. Now it's time to glue together our little veggies. Remember, I'm making 2 cards, so I'm working on 2 of each one. I will use the little die pieces that come with the set to cut out the little faces for the stitched veggies, and then I will just back those openings with a small piece of black cardstock. I'm going to use my gel pen to add some highlights to each one of those vegetables. Now that I've got them all highlighted and ready to go, I'm just going to glue them onto the front of my card. Now that this card is done, I will apply it to a ground espresso card base and get ready to put the little veggies on my other card. And now I'm going to apply the vegetables to my more subtle, at least that's what I call it, my more subtle looking little magic iris card. I added some white dots to the closed iris on my more subtle card, but I wasn't like totally crazy with that look. So on my other card, I just used a really dark brown Copic marker and then just did dots all over the center of that sunflower. And I liked that a lot better. So that pretty much does it for both of these cards. I think they're both equally cute, but each one of them has their own little personality. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. You can go ahead and subscribe by hitting that subscribe button and be notified of future videos. You can follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdell or on my blog, A Little Bit of Glitter. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.